See that I've got a variety of different colors from oranges and pinks and greens and blues and mauves, all mixed at about the same value, the same lightness. And what I'm doing is painting different pathways of these colors, these big sweeping curves that come from the outside in towards the sun. And starting with the kind of darker, cooler colors of the outside of the painting. And those curves get kind of narrower and narrower as we get in towards the sun. And then doing the opposite, coming away from the sun, painting with the lightest, warmest colors out towards those cooler areas. And what that does is provides like an overall gradation. As you move in closer to the sun, everything gets lighter and warmer. And that just really, really helps the glow. All of these various big curves of different colors, again, they just encourage your eye to move. Hello, and welcome to the show. This is episode 12 of Becoming a Successful Artist, and we're coming to you live via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And today I'm going to talk about what are the qualities that a mentor looks for in a mentee. I've talked an awful lot about the whole mentorship relationship in the past few days, but the one thing that you really need to consider is why would a mentor want to actually take an interest in you and helping you in your career. So I'm Tim Packer. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a very successful artist. I've had a wonderful career. It's given me a wonderful life. And I've decided that what I want to do with the next stage of my life, rather than just doing more paintings and selling more paintings, I want to share what I've learned so that I can help other aspiring artists achieve their dreams. So for those of you, you guys are all watching live. For those of you who aren't live, you can actually watch all the replays of my first 11 episodes on the YouTube channel. And if you can't stick around for the whole show here today, you can watch the replay on the YouTube channel. So what you can do for me too is I'm amazed that in this first 2 weeks, we are getting viewers from literally all across the world, every time zone. If you can, in the comments, in the chat, just put in a hi and let us know where you're watching from. Cameron? Okay, so hi, David from Montebello, Quebec, Canada. And we have Sherry Friesen again here today. Hi, Sherry, from Niagara Falls, Ontario. So if you have any questions, and Stony Creek, a buddy of mine, actually one of my buddies who's in the my Hungry Artist Academy is from Stony Creek. If you have any questions today, you can put them in the chat. Ryan Paul, again from the Philippines. Love that. From Toronto, just around the corner from me. Grand Prairie, Alberta. Hi, Alicia. Alicia, Cameron keeps telling me I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sorry about that. If you have any questions here today, just put them in the chat. If it's about what we're talking about today, Cameron will put it up on the screen for me to see. But if it's about anything else, you can ask me anything, and that will be something that I'll just put on the list of things that I'm going to answer later. Hi, Monica from Colorado, and Christine from Edmonton. Welcome to the show. Potash, where's Potash from? Do you know? It sounds like Canada, but I'm not sure. Okay, what I'm going to talk about today is what are the characteristics that you can display that are going to attract mentors to you, because that's the main thing that as I've done a lot of thinking about this, like I haven't gone out and actively pursued mentors. Mentors have come to me and offered their help. And ideally, that's one of the best ways to actually engage with a mentor. So I'm going to tell you about a story that happened to me. And that was when I got elected to the Canadian Society of Painters in watercolor. I was still on the police force at that time. I hadn't yet made the decision that I was going to quit my job and pursue art full time, but I applied to the society. Now this is like an end of career kind of milestone for a lot of people. Getting elected to the Canadian Society of Painters in Watercolor is a really, really big deal. And when I applied, I actually had no thought that I could actually actually get elected, but it was like, you get into practice of doing the things you're supposed to be doing. Hi, Eileen from BC. Eileen's also in my program. Actually, so is Alicia. So we've got a number of the hungry artists here, which I'm happy to see. But yeah, I applied to the Canadian Society of Painters and Watercolor just because, I'd read some stuff that says you need to get in the practice of doing the things that successful people do. And one of the things that successful people do is they keep challenging themselves to get into jury shows or to get into societies. So when I sent the application in, I said to my wife, if I get in, I would love to go on this 10-day symposium they were going to be hosting in Bowen Island, just off the coast of Vancouver. And it was fairly expensive. And my wife said, yeah, okay, if you get in, you can go, with no thought that I would ever actually get elected and take her up on that offer. But I got elected. And it was actually after I got elected that we made the decision that I was going to quit my job as a police officer, cash in my pension, and give this a try. And I actually, so the symposium was in October of 2019. And I had actually just gone in, Twin Lake, Michigan. Hi, Sue. I had actually just gone into my boss's office the night before I was leaving on this symposium to let him know that I was going to be leaving at the end of the year, which was a huge kind of relief off my shoulders, because I knew for about 2 months that I was going to be leaving. And I went in and I told him, morning, Joyce, welcome. I went in and I told my boss that, yeah, I'm leaving at the end of the year. And it's funny, his initial response was like, where are you going? Hold up, homicide? Because I was in the commercial crime unit. And I said to him, no, I'm quitting. And he went, oh, yeah, right. The art thing, right? And I said, yeah, I'm going to give it a try. So when I went on this trip, I was just like so excited and terrified, right? I'd put that flag in the ground and got on the hook for the rest of my life. I was leaving the safe thing behind and going to be chasing my dream. And when I got there, from Israel, hello there, welcome. I can't read the name though. But anyway, so I'd made this huge decision. I'd kind of put that stake in the ground that as of the end of December, I'm leaving. And when I got off the plane and onto the ferry to go across to Bowen Island, I was so excited, but I was also so terrified. I was also so intimidated, because here I was, I'm just some dumb copper who likes to paint. And I've made this decision and I'm going away with these people. Now, most of the people that were on the symposium, they were elected members of the Canadian Society of Painters and Watercolor. They were members of the board of the society, and they were some of Canada's top artists. And here I was feeling the imposter, right? Like I don't really belong here. And it's like, pretty soon they're all going to figure out that I'm a bit of a fraud, and they're going to tell me to go away and they're going to revoke my membership. And so I met this lady going to cross the ferry. There was another older lady there with her portfolio. She came up and introduced herself to me, and it was Marilyn Mercer. And she said, oh, you must be going to the symposium. And I said, yeah, I am. And we had to wait about an hour for the ferry. And so we went in and had a beer, and we just got to talking. We took the ferry over, and then Marilyn, actually, it turned out, I didn't know that at the time, she was on the board of the society. And I told her that, this is a big deal for me. Like, I just got elected to the society. I'm a brand new member. I've just told my bosses I'm quitting my job. I'm cashing in my pension. And as of the end of December, I'm going on this journey to become a professional artist. And she actually took me around right when we got to the resort where we were staying. She took me around. She introduced me to a number of the other members and members of the board. And over the course of that week, I was just like in heaven. I was surrounded by these other artists who were doing what I wanted to do. I was up painting every day, and I was plein air painting, which is something I'd never really done before. And I was just loving it. And one night, Marilyn and I were sitting down by the beach having a glass of wine. And we got talking about our favorite artists. And I said to her, well, like, I'm a really, really high
high resolution portrait painter, but I want to get into painting landscapes and I want to loosen up. But I don't know how to do that. And I would really, really love to be able to get in to take a workshop with Zoltan Szabo, who again, Zoltan is one of the gods of watercolor. Who was. And I tried for 2 years to get into that workshop. He came once a year to Canada in Bobcaygeon, which is just about an hour and a half north of me in Whitby. And I said to Marilyn, oh, he's like my favorite. He's a guy that I would just give my eye teeth to get in and take a workshop with. And she said, well, why don't you come to the workshop that he's having in Bobcaygeon? And I said, no, I've already tried. They're booked up. And I phoned the lady who runs the workshop and she said, no, they're booked up. And so they've got me on the waiting list, but I'm not holding out, any hope. And she's like, I'm sure you can be squeezed in. And I'm like, no, like I've already talked to them. Like the woman said, I can't be squeezed in. The workshop is full. And then again, she says, well, there's always room for one more. And I was thinking, what's wrong with this lady? Like, is she not hearing me? And then she finally said, no, what's wrong with you? It was me you talked to on the phone. I'm the one who runs the workshop. I'm really good friends with Zoltan, and he's going to be staying with me. Why don't you come and stay with me and Joe as well? And so she said, yeah, we'll squeeze you into the workshop. You come, stay with Joe and I, and take the workshop, and I'll introduce you to Zoltan, and you'll get a chance to chat with him. And that ended up what happened. And most of you know too, if you followed my stuff, how there was some conversation I had with Zoltan during that workshop that changed my life. And the question is, why did Marilyn do that? Right? I didn't ask her for any help. I didn't ask her to mentor me. She just jumped in and said, well, you're coming with us. You're going to stay with us. And I did. And I ended up staying with her, I guess, for 2 years after that. I came up to the workshop every year. I stayed with her. I got to know Zoltan very well. And then she ended up becoming an unofficial mentor to me. She got me into she was the one that got me into Gallery on the Lake, which ended up becoming a big part of my life. But the question is, why did she do that? And the other thing that happened is over the course of that week, I actually picked up about 6 other unofficial mentors who volunteered to give me advice. And over the course of the next several years, I knew I could just call on them and ask them for advice, or just in general conversations. They were there and only too happy to advise me. And so I've thought a lot about, well, why did that happen? Why did they pick me and do this? Because that's what you want to have happen to you. And then let's look at the situation of Brooke. Now, I went into a great deal of that yesterday, but for those of you that missed it, basically I'd got to know her briefly while she was in university. We did a couple print jobs for her, but she really, really impressed me with her work ethic and with her creativity, business-wise, and for her work. And when I was golfing with her dad, and he told me, and he was not happy, that she was not going to pursue her career as a landscape architect, that she was going to pursue a career in art. And again, he was not happy. And I immediately just said, I will help her out if she wants. I will mentor her as long as we film the sessions. And so it's like, what was that? What was that made those people want to jump in and help me? And what was that made me want to help Brooke? And I've actually listened a lot to Seth Godin. Those of you who don't know him, I recommend you kind of look him up. His last name's Godin. And he talks a lot about that. And one thing he talks about is we look for people who are on the hook. Like, in our current day in society, people want guarantees, right? They want to know, if I study this, is it going to be on the test? And for Brooke's dad, it was like, if she goes and takes her 4-year landscape architect program, is she going to get a job? And the answer is yes. But is there any guarantee that if she pursues this art, that she's going to have a career and she's not going to end up starving? It's like, no, like, she's on the hook for that. And so that's the thing that I realized that I and Brooke both had in common, is we'd already demonstrated the fact that we were already willing to work really, really hard. I'd already gotten elected to the Canadian Society of Painters in Watercolor. You don't do that without an incredible amount of effort. And I was on the hook. I had already made the decision that I am going to do this scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to pursue this. And Brooke had done the same thing. Now, not to the same level as me, both in terms of her accomplishments and the risk she was taking, because she could have gone back just a year later and got into landscape architect. But she had impressed me already with the fire in her belly, that absolute burning desire to become a professional artist. She'd impressed me with her work, with her creativity, and she really, really impressed me because she was willing to be on the hook. She had said, I am going to do this. She didn't come to me first and ask me, like, would you be my mentor? She just said she was going to do it. And I immediately just jumped in and said, I will help her. Now, I jumped in for another reason as well. And that was because with what I had experienced in my career, I firmly believed that, becoming a successful artist is not about having some gift. I mean, I used to get offended when people used to tell me that I was lucky I had this gift. And it's like, yeah, luck and maybe 20,000 hours spent in front of the easel, in front of the drawing board, that all led to the talent. But I was fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to pursue it. But the reason I was successful was that I put the work in and I figured out, flailing around for a number of years, what I needed to do to be successful. And I always believed that if I had someone that had that same desire, that same work ethic, and that willingness to put themselves on the hook and take the chance, that with proper direction, they could achieve the same things I had, but in much, much shorter time, because they wouldn't be wasting their time doing all these things that were at the wrong time or in the wrong direction. And so when I saw Brooke, wish I could do it, but I'm the sole provider and no manageable wait till I can retire. That's fair enough. I was in a situation, because that's the one thing I want to say to everybody here too. Like, don't go out and quit your job and put your family on the poverty line or lose your house or anything else like that. But you can go into it in a part-time level in a big way. For me, I was lucky enough that my wife had a good job, that we weren't going to lose our house, but I was still risking a lot. I was throwing away an 18-year career. I was throwing away 18 years of pension deposits that I was just basically going to lose. I got commuted value, but even that, I can't touch that till I'm 65. And I risked kind of leaving the job that I really liked, failing at my dream, and then having to go get a job in corporate security. So the thing that there's no easy path to do this. There's no way to get here without fear. And the question is, are you going to run away from that fear? Are you going to lean into it? Because the other thing, Cheryl, is there's the potential to pursue this as a part-time thing, but very, very seriously, until you reach the point where it's like, you know what? I can make that leap to do it full time. But the point is that both of us kind of had that leap of faith we had to make, right? It's a very, very scary thing. And you have to ask yourself, why am I scared? Now, in the situation where you're the sole provider and you need your job to pay the rent, that's a valid choice. But if you're scared just because you're afraid of failing, or you're afraid of judgment, or you're afraid of putting your work out there, there's no way to get around that. You need to lean into that and do it. And the point is, that is the type of thing that attracts a mentor. A mentor is not interested in someone that says, I would love to do this, but it's scary and I don't want to take the risk. But if you are willing to help me and you are willing to kind of guarantee that I'll be successful and you're going to go on the hook for me, well, then I'll be willing to take the chance. And that's actually what I see a lot out there. So there you go. Two hours a day and 4 or 5 hours a day on the weekend. That's enough. And that's enough over several years to get you to the point where you can do this full time. Or you may decide, okay, I don't need a full-time job. I can go part-time. But there are a lot of ways to get there. None of them are easy. And the point I want to get across, the real point I want to get across, is no one is looking to mentor someone who is basically crying out desperately and very needy that, please help me. I want to do this, but I'm only willing to do it if you'll go on the hook for me. And I see that a lot on like the singing shows too, like American Idol and stuff like that. You see these young 21-year-olds and they're pleading with the judges, "This is my one chance. This is my only chance." And it's like, you're 21 years old. Like, move to Nashville, go out and grind for 4 years. It's like, it's not your only chance. And even for those of you who it's like, if you have to wait until you retire, again, you've heard that story about Marilyn Mercer. She never picked up a paintbrush for the first time until she retired. But she was still able to get good enough to have a very, very successful career. And for me, that was the plan. The plan was not, I'm going to do this, get serious, and then quit my job. It was that the plan was just, I'm going to get serious so that by the time I retire, I'll be in a situation where I can move full time into my art career. And what ended up happening is things happened so rapidly, it actually made sense for me to leave before that. So the plan was never for me, I'm going to join the police force for 18 years and then quit and pursue art. But I just want to get back to that whole reason why I decided to mentor Brooke is I wanted to prove it. I wanted to prove it's not about some gift. It's not about talent. And those of you who saw yesterday's show, you saw the paintings that she did in that first week. Nobody is going to look at that and say, "Oh my God, look at this girl. She's gifted. Of course she should be pursuing an art career." Her dad actually was vehemently opposed to her pursuing an art career. But I'm going to get Cameron. Can you don't take it off yet? But I'm going to get Cameron to remove me for a sec, so I get my big noggin out of there. But you can compare the images yesterday that we showed that Brooke was doing. This is her 2 years later and the quality of work that she was doing. Okay, Cameron, you can take me off. Okay, put me back. Okay, so you can see there that like in 2 years, she was able to grow incredibly as an artist, and that's available to anybody. But the point is that if you want someone to mentor you kind of in the free version. Now there is another version where you pay for someone to mentor you. There's a lot of that going on in the personal coaching realm, and also with me with my art academy. And I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow. But all of the best advice that I got during my career, it was free advice, and it was from people who actually reached down to help me without me even asking them. And that ideally is what you want to do. So how do you do that? Well, you show that you have a determination and a work ethic that you're going to do the stuff you need to do. You are going to show it over a consistent period of time. You're going to show that you're willing to be on the hook. And with Brooke, she was willing to be on the hook. And it wasn't just that you may say, well, of course, she had this opportunity to be mentored by you. This was not a no-brainer for her because we sat down and had a conversation in advance. And I said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this in a very public way. And everything we do is going to be taped and is going up on my YouTube channel. And you are either going to succeed or you are going to fail very publicly. And I said, well, and can I guarantee you you're going to succeed? It's like, no, I can't guarantee you anything. All I can guarantee you is that I'm going to do everything I can do to put you in a place to succeed. And then it's up to you. And I really, really strongly believe if you do all of the things that I ask you to do, and if you put in 100% effort, I believe there's a very, very strong likelihood that you will succeed. But she could have failed. And if she failed, it would have been in front of everybody. And I also think that's why she ended up doing so well is when she left after a session and I had given her a number of things that I suggested she do, we'd already set our next date. She knew she was either going to come back and show me the work that she'd done, or she was going to come back and tell me she hadn't done it. And that was going to be live, or not live. That was going to be recorded. There was going to be no getting out of this, right? So she was on the hook. She made a promise. I made a promise. And then we committed to it. So now I just want to shift into one other thing about why did Marilyn reach down and help me? Why did Neville Clark help me? Linda Kemp help me? So many artists, Zoltan Szabo. Why did I help Brooke? And that gets back to something else that Seth Godin talks about, which is people like us. That there's a tribe out there of people like us. and we aren't defined by how we look, what gender we are, what country we're from, or anything else. We're defined by what we do. It's like people like us do things like this. And people like us, so I put myself in the realm of Zoltan Zabel, Marilyn Mercer, Neville Clark, and Brooke herself. Now, people like us, when we see people like us who haven't yet got there, we have a tendency to reach down and want to help them. And that's what people like us do. And that's the tribe that I am trying to create. That's what I'm trying to create with my Hungry Artist Academy, is to create a group of people like us who we all have the burning desire to succeed as artists. We all have the burning desire to achieve our ultimate potential as artists. And we're very generous in spirit, and we want to reach down and help out other people like us. And that is why Marilyn helped me, because she's people like me. That's why I help Brooke, because she's people like me. That's why I am creating this whole series, because that's what people like us do. When we achieve a certain amount of success, that's not enough. Achieving a success, what it does is it engenders a feeling of, initially I thought it was guilt, but it's not guilt, it's responsibility. That once I figured out what it took for me to achieve success, then I felt a responsibility to share that with other people. Now, I'm never again going to do what I did with Brooke. So please do not quit your job and then tell me, oh, you're on the hook, and Tim, will you mentor me? I will never, ever do that again one-on-one. I did that very, very specifically to prove to myself and to the world that it's not about talent. It's about doing the things you need to do to succeed. But what I've decided is I don't want to go and mentor people one-on-one anymore. It's very inefficient. I want to be able to share what I've learned at scale. And so the fact that I'm able already, just in the last couple of weeks, to be sharing this with people in South Africa, in Israel, in Singapore, in Utah, in Great Britain, kind of around the world, that's what I want to do. I want to share it at scale. But I also want to have the opportunity to share it with individuals. And that's where my big master class, Becoming a Successful Artist, and the Hungry Artist Community comes in. I will answer any and all questions anybody has about becoming a successful artist on this platform for free. But all of my answers are going to be generic, right? This is what I would do. If, on the other hand, you want personal answers, you want me to investigate and listen to your very specific situation, where you are right now, then that happens on my Hungry Artist Community, and you need to be on the hook for that. Now, I don't have the ability to go and vet everybody to say, wow, are you on the hook? Have you demonstrated all of this kind of stuff? The only way that I can put people on the hook is to make them pay for it, right? So for my online course and lifetime membership right now to the Hungry Artist Community, that we have an offer going on for $595. So if you do that, you're on the hook. You are either going to make it worth that investment or not. And the other reason why I decided that I wanted to have a pay element to my course is that studies have shown that if people take a course for free versus paying for it, they're 4 times more likely to actually complete the course and succeed in that endeavor if they've paid for it. And why is that? It's because they're on the hook, right? And so, again, you can take my free content all day long. I hope you all success, but I don't have any personal vested interest in whether any one of you succeed. But if you take my course, then I'm making a commitment. Thank you, Sherry. Sherry's a member of my online community and paid for the course. If you take the course, then you've made a promise to me that you are on the hook and you are going to do everything you can to succeed. And I'm on the hook to you that I will do everything I can do to help you specifically succeed, not just everybody generically. So we are, if you're interested in seeing about that, you can go to my free webinar, which you can watch at www.aspiringartist.ca. If you go there, you can watch a free webinar. It also talks about my 10 keys to selling your art, gives a little more history on my journey and a little bit about Brooke, and also it explains my course. And there's an offer there to get the course for $595. But not only that, you get my Hungry Artist community for life right now. Now, we are doing that for the first 100. Thanks, Brenda. Brenda's a member of the group as well. That is going to be a paid subscription service where it's going to be $19 a month. And what I've decided is that for the first 100 members, we are going to make that a lifetime free membership. So the first 100 members that sign up for my course will be on that Hungry Artist community for life. And we meet, right now we're meeting once a month. It's probably going to get more frequent as we get more and more people on there. And there I'll critique members' work. So people send me JPEGs, I'll do critiques, I'll suggest different things, and I'll actually make the suggestions using Photoshop to show you how I would make that a better piece. I will do individual coaching sessions where I'll meet with artists on Zoom one-on-one. We'll discuss their situation, and then live in front of everyone, I'll go into a coaching session, which people also have the opportunity to ask questions about. And then we also have just regular Q&A sessions where it's like, you can ask me whatever you want. We can go into as much detail as you want about your situation, and I will answer it. And I answer a lot of emails too. It's probably now about a couple times a week, I'm getting a very specific email from someone in the group who has a very specific question that requires me to know their situation and do a little research, and I'll get back to them with that specific answer. So just that alone is worth, to have that for life is worth the $595. But that offer with that price, with the lifetime, is going to be ending once we hit 100. And we are going to be doing that actually very shortly. So tomorrow I am going to talk about the two options. If you don't want to pay, and I'm fine with that. I'm other than taking a few workshops with different artists, I'm a big believer. For me, the best way I take in information is watch 50 or 60 hours of videos, make my own notes, make my own plan, take it in from a variety of sources, and then go from there. That requires a lot of time. It also requires a lot of me kind of being able to discern what is the right thing for me to do now. And also me being willing to play the what if game. Well, I'll try this. If it doesn't work, I'm fine. I'll move over here. I'll move over here. What you get in the course is you get a very structured format where you can go back and find whatever you want very, very easily. Whereas on YouTube, by the end of this year, I'll probably have 400 YouTube videos up. It would be very difficult to go back and find a specific thing, where in the course you can do that. And also you get the opportunity to specifically ask questions about your situation. And the other reason that I've made the first 100 free, it's also selfish. It's not, it is definitely a good marketing thing, and I think it's an incredible offer. But I told you, I want to create a community of people like us doing things like this. And those 100 people, they are going to be my biggest asset going forward, because they're going to be members of this community next year, 10 years from now. I'm not going to ask them for a single cent. And I know a number of them are going to go on to be very, very successful artists, so that then the people like us doing things like that doesn't just involve me. It involves the other successful artists in our group. And because they're people like us, they are going to be willing to reach down and help people. And ideally, what I would love to see happen is this community go on long after I'm not even here. Because as long as we have a number of people who are successful artists, who are people like us, then this community can go on virtually forever. And my son, Cameron, can run it. So I guess if we have any questions, what day is the meeting held? Sherry, the next meeting is January 8th? It's Saturday. I think that'll be your first meeting, because Sherry just joined. There's an email going out this week. So Cameron's been off because of Christmas and Boxing Day, and then he just got his vaccine yesterday and he was feeling under the weather. I was hoping he was going to get this stuff sent out this morning, but he's sending an email out today, just a reminder. And the next session, January 8th at 12 Eastern Standard Time, and you'll get an invite on Zoom. For those of you who are members of the community, you guys can send me JPEGs of works that you would like critiqued. No more than 2 pieces per artist just because the numbers are getting up there. And then we'll do that critique session there. There's also, I don't even know if Cameron knows this, a couple people mentioned to me that there's a problem with access to the community that just happened over the last 2 days. So Cameron's going to get on that. That will be fixed by the end of day today. And do we have any questions there, Cameron, that need to come up? No? Okay. So those are the qualities that mentors look for, right? They want to see that you already put in an incredible amount of work and that you're serious about this. They want to see that fire in the belly, that you're willing to go on the hook. You're willing to take the chance without them mentoring you. And again, so I talked about that earlier, like just reaching out and asking someone to mentor you. That's not someone I want to mentor anyways, because now they're putting me on the hook. Right? They're putting me on the hook about them being successful. I don't want that. I want someone who's already put themselves on the hook, that's going for this regardless, that shows an incredible work ethic, that shows that they are going to do this regardless. And then I'll feel an obligation to reach out and help them. And so the other thing that you need to do, I probably didn't mention, is you need to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be exposed to people like that. So the best way is in other artist groups, and the best groups are those groups where it's juried to get in, so that you, if you get into, say, a provincial or regional artist group, at least the people there are all going to be of a certain level, and there's going to be people who are further ahead than you. If you can get into a national organization, which happened to me with the Canadian Society of Painters and Watercolor, I was surrounded by people who had the ability, who had already been there and done that, and who were people like us. And that's also the reason why I decided the Hungry Artist community was so important, is because not everybody has the ability to get into one of these groups. And even if you do, like I got into a watercolor society. I served on the board for 10 years. I served as president. I don't even paint watercolor anymore, right? So for those of you who want to get into that type of community, that's why I decided to create the Hungry Artist community, that simply by going on the hook for the cost of the course, you are going to get yourself in that group. And I have to tell you that the caliber of people we have in there is amazing. We have some who are, I believe, like just ready to pop in terms of their careers. We have some who are very early on in their careers. We have a number of people who have come back to this as a career, potential career, just like I did, because they had to make a living first. So anyways, I am going to call it on that. Let me just, what is there? Yeah, I think I've covered everything I wanted to do. And again, just want to say, don't quit your job and then hit me up and ask you to mentor me. That's not ever happening again. Ellen, so if you go to, we're going to actually have tomorrow on my site, so the www.timpackerartacademy.com, tomorrow's going to, Cameron's, or this afternoon, hopefully, is going to be putting up our Boxing Week specials, and that offer will be there. I was hoping he was going to do it today, but he got his vaccine yesterday, so I let him sleep in till 11:45, so he wasn't able to do that. But if you want to, and that offer is not going to go away before New Year's. So don't feel you've got to rush out and do it because we hit the first 100. If we hit the 100 before New Year's, I'm not going to take it down until New Year's. I'm thinking there's a good chance we might hit it by New Year's, but I'm not going to take it down. But later today or tomorrow, if you just go to timpackerartacademy.com, you will see a link to our Boxing Week sales, and you'll just have a direct link to there. I really do recommend, though, you go to the www.aspiringartist.ca and watch the webinar, because that does go into a fair bit more detail. You'll see exactly what it is you're getting with the course. Oh, and I should say, too, if you sign up for the course, you also get, I'll be doing new courses and adding them to them. So just on top of what's already there, I will be doing a course on self-publishing for artists. We'll go through in great detail 3 different levels that you can start publishing your own work. The first one, from just shooting with a phone and being able to produce prints this big that you can sell, right up to our full-on thing where we produce triptychs that are 4 feet high and 10 feet wide. And there's also there's going to be a course on actually creating online courses. I know I have a lot of artist friends that they either subsidize their income by teaching, or a number of them, that's actually how they made their money, was teaching workshops and traveling around the country, some of them traveling around the world. And their business has just been devastated by COVID. Well, I can tell you that the online teaching business is the greatest thing since sliced bread. As good as the ability to self-publish your work is for an artist to be able to scale your income, for those of you who teach, the ability to teach online now is like, it's absolutely amazing. And so I'm going to be creating a course on that, on teaching online. First of all, explaining all of the things that you might want to consider, whether you want to teach like live Zoom courses or whether you want to do what I've done, which is create courses, and then going into the various platforms that you can use and how you would market them. So those are two courses that are going to be coming down the pike. They will also be included in that Becoming a Successful Artist bundle. And any other courses that I do that are directed towards the business of being an artist, they'll get included as well. So I hope that's answered your questions. Thanks for all you do. I'm new to art, but I'm thirsty to learn. I've already had people ask to buy. Appreciate your candor and willingness to share free content and pay courses. Yeah. And Donna, what I'd say is like, take advantage of all my free stuff. I'm going to tell you tomorrow what I would do if I was me back then and how I would actually go through all of the content that I have and how to use that actually to create a plan for you. And when and if you reach the point where you want to take one of my courses, that's fine. Oh, I would recommend though for everybody, we're going to have like there's specials on my mini courses and my color and composition course. We've sold, I think 600, we've had 600 people take the color and composition course. It is the biggest bang for the buck that I could ever provide for people. It's regular $79. And I think on our specials, we're doing 2-for-1s of any of the mini courses. I also have one on there called Becoming the Business of Being an Artist. That was like a 3.5-hour live webinar that people paid $79 for. And then there's like, I think almost 3 hours of Q&A. Like those two together for $79 is going to give you an incredible amount of value, and guaranteed that just taking the color and composition course is going to make, it's going to double your sales this year. I guarantee it. And with any of my courses, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. You take the course within 30 days, if for whatever reason, you hit me up, we'll give you a guarantee, we'll give you a refund. I've had, I think 2 people ask for a refund, and it's only been on the big course. One person was actually just recently, and it was with all the Omicron thing. She lost her job. It's like, I just can't afford this. And I'm worried about getting Christmas presents for the kids. It's like, yeah, no problem. I had one person who took the course. He took about 80% of the content because I could actually see what people do. He actually watched about 80% of the content. And on the last day, hit me up and he wanted a refund. And it's like, okay. And then you know what I thought? I thought, yeah, I don't really want someone like that in my community anyways. So it's like, yeah, here's your money back. But for any of my courses, there's a no questions, full money back within 30 days. So that's it for today. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. Again, first of all, I'm going to talk to you about how I would use my content and someone else's content to create your own plan for yourself. And then I'll go into a little bit more detail about my courses.